Time for another edition of the Kaufman Corner podcast with you as always, David Lesky from Inside the Crown. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Royals scored 9 runs in 4 games against the Chicago White Sox. It doesn't look like it's all fixed. They got 5 and a loss today. When are the bats going to come alive? Is there a lineup change that needs to be made? Maikel Garcia need to hit someplace else? Is Vinny Pasquantino going to get going, or is this just a replay of last year? Salvador Perez, are we starting to maybe see the end for him? We're going to give David another shot to go ahead and maybe call it. Starting pitching, legit or schedule driven. The depth is taking a hit in that starting pitching. The City Connect uniforms, we'll mention that. A lot of conversation on that. And the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, Quentin Lucas, hatches a plan to pay for a new stadium. We're talking about it right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. And the Royals, I don't know. They did score 5 runs, David, but overall, no doubt about it, this was a stinker against a White Sox team that had been giving up 6 runs a game, basically, when the Royals started this series. And Royals made their pitching look real good.
Yeah, I mean, look, and you can go to each game and you can say, oh, well, Anthony Kay, for example. I'd never seen him throw upper 90s like that. But also, hit him. Who cares? Everybody throws upper 90s. There's – let me back up. And I think you'll see where I'm going with this, but there's a fan reaction, and then there's an actual analyst reaction. And what's interesting about what we're doing, I think, is that we are fans of the Royals. I mean, you've been a fan your whole life, right? I've been a fan my whole life. There is that side that you're like, oh, this team sucks, but there's also the side of, okay, let's look at this rationally. Let's take a step back. Let's get on the airplane and go 30,000 feet in the air. This series, you go rational and it's still not great. and it's a problem. It's 16 games of a 162 game schedule, but 16 is more than 12, which was more than 9, which was more than 6. Every series they go through, it gets you closer and closer to a sample that's meaningful. And I don't think we're quite there yet. But we're pretty close, and we're 10th of the way through the season now. And I asked on Wednesday when I was on the show, is this a good team having a bad stretch and treading water, or this is the best they can do? And we don't know the answer to that yet. But the longer we go, we find out that answer soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good point. Comments is they're working walks. They just aren't hitting with runners in scoring position. And and I get tired of the runners in scoring position. Not because Cotman said it, but just in general, we're just not hitting with guys in scoring position. No one does. Like you hit, right? You hit the way you hit, and you have to string together a lot of guys on base. Like I still am sitting here saying that I do believe that they're going to be okay, right? Like I do believe that this is, they're going through a stretch, and they're going to come out of it. But so the hitting and scoring position, if you just keep getting a lot of people on base, you're going to score runs. And so I do like that they're drawing walks, but just because we've never seen them do that it feels like they've done it at the expense of the hitting, right? And until they do hit, that's the way it's going to be perceived. That's the way it's going to. It's I mean, that's how can you not connect those dots?
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. And I mean, I put this out there on, this was Friday. I said this, but I just looked at the numbers again. Before today's game, the Royals, based on weighted runs created plus, which I think is one of the better stats out there, to be able to just incorporate everything, have it really easy to understand. 100 is average, 110, 10% above, 90 is 10% below. The Royals have a 110 weighted runs created plus with nobody on base. That's seventh best in baseball. That's good. I mean, it's great, honestly. Maybe not great, but really good. With runners in scoring position, and again, this is before today, when they actually had a decent day with runners in scoring position, they're dead last. 37. That's 63% below league average. The next worst coming into today was at 57. They were 20 behind the second worst team in baseball with runners in scoring position. And so it's one of those things that you go, okay, well, which one's real? I don't know that answer. I truly don't know that answer. But it's maddening. And part of the problem, and I don't want to get too far ahead. Maybe we'll just jump into it. But part of the problem is most of the at-bats with runners in scoring position have come from Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvador Perez. Not most, nearly half is what it is. And Witt has been, look, Witt, the numbers aren't great for Bobby Witt. He is hitting the ball hard. I'm not worried about him. He's hitting to some legit buzzard luck. But Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez are zeros right now at the plate. And when they come up, Vinny Pasquantino walked with the bases loaded. And that was when he came up to the plate. I'm going, please don't swing. Please don't swing. The bases are loaded with one out. If you swing, the inning is over. And he didn't. He walked, and great. Walked in a run. That's when you're a three hitter, you're going, oh, I don't want you to swing. I don't want you to swing. Please don't swing. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. Am I worried about Vinny Pasquantino long term? No. Do I want to see him hitting third right now? No. I mean, I think that you can answer the question. The two questions don't have anything to do with each other. And I think that's where a lot of the problem has come, is that the guys who should be hitting aren't hitting. And it's pretty simple, which is a positive and a negative, because do we think they're going to continue to not hit? Well, at least Bobby and Vinny, I'm not worried about. We can talk about Salvy. I'm worried about him, but you feel like at least those two are going to come around, and that'll help quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, and is that it? If those two hit, Bobby and Vinny, then is it all solved? Are you content with everything else?
No. But there's a lot to like. Again, why is it that they can hit better than every team almost with nobody on, but not with runners in scoring position? Is it mental? Is it approach? I don't think it's approach. I mean, I would hope not, although their walk rate is like 12.5% with nobody on and 7.5% with runners in scoring position. So maybe it is approach. I haven't looked at the chase rates, and, I probably should have, honestly, at this point, but I feel like a lot of things get solved when your star's star. It's just as simple as that. Like, when the stars do their job, everything else seems to fall in place. And when we talked 3 weeks ago, yeah, whatever it was, and said, hey, we think this can be a really good offense. National analysts who are smarter than us think this can be a top 10 offense. The reason they thought that is because the stars were starring, and it helped the supporting cast. The supporting cast has been fine. The stars have been bad, except for Maikel Garcia. He's not been bad. And Carter Jensen's had moments. That he's been fine, I think. But when you're 2, 3, 4 hitting like they have, and again, it's not totally fair to Bobby Witt, but he hasn't hit as well as he normally does. You're going to struggle to score runs. It's as simple as that.
Well, and we've talked about it now. We're this far into the season, and Jack Caglione has not hit the ball over the wall either.
Yeah.
And so
he's been a problem.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't know, like, it's, we thought this was going to be, they moved the fences in, and they appeared to have more power hitters than they've maybe ever put into the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And Carter Jensen's the one guy that's hitting the ball over the wall. Otherwise, no one else really is. I mean, two home runs from Maikel Garcia, Jonathan India, Kyle Isbell, and Salvador Perez. One from Isaac Collins. None from Jack Caglione.
None from Vinny, none from Bobby.
None from Vinny and none from Bobby. I mean, that's like those are supposed to be your guys that are taking it over the wall, and they're not.
I think
from that standpoint, that's why I have to believe it's going to get better.
It's Caglione of those three. He's the one that you go, I don't know that he's going to do it because he hasn't, right? Like we know that Bobby Witt hit 30 plus home runs 2 years in a row. Vinny hit 30 last year. He hit 19 in 124 games or something. So it was like a 23 or 24 home run pace in 2024 before the freak injury. So he's a guy, okay, you feel like pretty good. You're going to get 22 to 30 home runs from Vinny. You feel pretty good. You're going to get 25 to 30 to 35 from Bobby Witt. You feel pretty good about, I think you felt good about Caglione if he played 162 games or 140 games, whatever the number would be. You feel pretty good that Caglione was going to hit 25 home runs just because of the pure power. And you're right, through 48 games. And I think Vinny, Pasquantino, and Bobby Witt have played all 16. Caglione, I think, has played 13 maybe. So whatever it is, just 45 games-ish. They've hit 0. I mean, you would have expected them to hit 8 to 10 by now among the three of them, and they haven't.
So how would you change? Do they need to change the batting order? Is it time to get Vinny Pasquantino at least out of the 3 spot?
Well, so I think, forget them. Forget Pasquantino and Salvador Perez and their mental whatever. We'll help them to hit 6. We'll help them to hit 7, whatever. They can't go back to back. Those two cannot be in run producing spots until they prove they can produce runs. And right now, they can't. Pasquantino, he had the sacrifice fly. That was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, he had the sacrifice fly in the 8th inning yesterday. Mm-hmm. He did walk with the bases loaded today, so he's driving in some guys. But is Salvador Perez still on 2 RBIs? I think he is, with 2 home runs. I'm looking right now. Is he still there? Yeah, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. He's not driving in runs. At some point, you've got to say, look, if Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez have the most plate appearances with runners in scoring position, and they're not producing, put guys in who are producing, and they're not as many as you'd like to get those at bats, because the problem is not that they're not getting guys on, although they have had an issue with that at points, but the problem is they're not getting those guys in because the guys who are supposed to bring them in are not bringing them in. and so I think you do have to move them down, but then it becomes this whole kerfluffle of who do you put there? Because the offense started going last year. And remember, they were, I think, 10th in runs scored the last 3 months of the season. They were 10th in baseball in runs scored. And by the way, with runners in scoring position, I think they had the 4th best offense in baseball from July 1st on. That was about the time they put Maikel Garcia between Pasquantino and Perez, and they moved Perez down a spot. Well, I don't know that you can move him to 4th because you need that guy at the top of the order because he's been great there. And B, who goes there if he's not there? So that, are you creating a hole at the leadoff spot? I don't know. And so I think that you got to figure some things out. I think Carter Jensen's probably got to hit somewhere in the 3 or 4 spot, I think, right now, because he's at least driving the ball. There's some strikeout issues, yes, but I like what I've seen from him generally. I don't know. I think especially he struggled the first, 2, 3 games, 4 games. It's such a small sample that, the 10-game sense have been really good. But it's a situation that he's got to be getting more at bats. I don't know. Isaac Collins, I don't love it, but maybe he at least getting some hits. He works the walks a little bit. I don't know.
You mentioned Pasquantino and Salvy back to back. They were 2 for 28 in the series. 2 for 28 at your 3 and 4 spot. And
yeah,
you're not going to hit. Like I believe that we're going to see Vinny hit. I am really starting to get worried about Salvador Perez. I don't think I mess with Maikel Garcia. Don't fix what ain't broke, and he's
Agreed.
one of the few guys hitting in a quality spot. So I'm not going to mess with that. That to me is like I've you could talk about putting him in the 3 spot. You could talk about putting him someplace else, but he's fine. If they couldn't find a leadoff hitter, now they found one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't mess with that. So I will veto any idea of moving Maikel Garcia around just because he's the one thing that's working. I think you just got to keep. The only question to me, Salvador Perez needs to be dropped down. There are often times, that we've talked about him needing to be dropped down, even when he's Salvy. Okay, definitely now. Like the Royals needed more hitters to move him down. We've said all along, if he's batting 7th for you, you feel great. But it's when you're putting him in the cleanup spot, that's the indictment on your lineup that you don't have enough ability. They seemingly have enough people. I don't know that I like the idea of Carter Jensen all of a sudden being told, okay, you're the cleanup hitter, you're the 3 hitter. Let's put it all on you. So I mean, it is an amazingly frustrating situation to deal with right now for them.
Yeah,
because I don't see the real answer.
I don't either. Not right now. And look, Salvador Perez has done this before, and we're like, he's done. He's toast. Career's over. Next week, 5 home runs in 7 games. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying that
I've seen it.
We've seen it before. Where I'm concerned about Salvador Perez, maybe more than anything, is his bat looks slower. The data shows it is a touch slower. The swing isn't longer. He's not swinging and missing anymore. So maybe it's not a big deal. But look, his bat speed went from 73.2 miles per hour in 2024 when he had a really good season. It was 72.9 last year. When he did, the quality of contact was actually really good last year. We talked about it a lot with the expected numbers and all that. Didn't happen for whatever reason. This year, the bat speed's down to 72.4 miles per hour. So it's almost a full mile per hour down. This is coming into today. And then I hadn't looked yet, but I pulled it up. His the 2 bat balls he made contact with, which are what we can see here, 69.5 miles per hour and 64.9 miles per hour bat speed. That's not great. The sign of a guy getting old is the bat slowing down. And, I said that I'm not going to predict he's done anymore because he keeps making me look stupid. Well, I'm going to predict he's done because I want him to make me look stupid again because I'm tired of talking about him. I'm just tired of talking about this. I want him to hit. And so I took a hit today. I didn't tell you this. I bet the Royals under 3.5 runs because I knew that would get them to score some runs. It worked. I just should have bet the White Sox too. So I'm going to go ahead and take the hit and say Salvy's done. He's toast.
And that's it. So with that will then get us what it is.
It'll write things with the gods. We're good.
Yeah, it'll write things with the gods. I like it. That let's hope that's it. You are free. Sacrificing your hard-earned money to make the Royals better. I like it. We want to talk about. Yeah, we want to talk about the pitching, the positives of what's going on. We'll talk a little bit more about maybe moving some things around lineup wise. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
All right. The good news is they pitched, right? Let's talk about some of the positives. Like how impressive has it been to see just what Michael Wacha's done? I mean, I remember that when the Braves had all their aces, and they had Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox, they talked about how, it was like a competition each day. And that's kind of what it's felt like, that we see Chris Bubich go out and throw BBs, and Michael Wacha's like, well, I'll go 8. Can they keep how long? I mean, no one's posting 1 ERAs or anything, but can this pitching look like it did back in 24 again this year?
I mean, if they can stay healthy, yeah. This is a talented pitching staff. There's a reason that we were not worried about the starting staff at all, and it's because there's good pitchers. And I mean, I can't think of a single person who doubted Michael Wacha. So there's at least that. Which, just kidding, I did.
Yeah,
he's been phenomenal. Look, I'll keep doubting him again. I'll put my hard-earned money against. I'll help the Royals win. But the Royals starting rotation has thrown 86 in the third innings this year. I think every team has played 16 games except for a few. I mean, they're a line drive off Cole Reagan's hand away from having more starting pitching innings than any team in baseball. Their starting pitching ERA is 2.92, which is 4th best. But I mean, again, think about 3 of those runs on Cole Reagan's on Wednesday. We all saw it. He wasn't giving those up in the first inning. Sorry. Maybe he would have eventually and whatever. But I mean, this rotation has been excellent. And like the one thing that we kind of worried about with them was they didn't strike enough guys out. They had the 7th best strikeout rate in baseball among starting pitching at 25.4%, which is tied with the Cubs. They're walking a few too many guys, but they're middle of the pack. So I'm not terribly worried about that. This is a good starting pitching staff. And we knew that. The question was, how healthy were they going to be? Because we saw extreme health in 2024 and extreme not health in 2025. So where are we now? The only blip they've had really is that Cole Reagan's got hit by a line drive, and he seems fine. I mean, he's on track to start on Tuesday against the Tigers. So far, so good. 10% of the way through. I find very little to be upset about with the starting pitching.
Right. I mean, the questions that I like, Noah Cameron today, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks, gave up 2 home runs. We kind of expected I don't think anybody was predicting a sub-3 ERA this year for Noah Cameron, right?
Right.
So what do you think he's going to be here moving forward? Is he going to be close? Is this? I mean, he's not going to be this bad all the time, but and this is the thing I like about it. Like I always talk about what's a guy's worst day. If this is his worst day, that's pretty good, right? Like he's
that's
still
your 5 too.
innings.
Yeah. I mean, the concern that I have with Cameron is he has run out of gas in all 3 starts this year. So it's interesting because I don't remember that happening last year, but maybe I've completely blocked it out. Do you remember him? You remember thinking, the third time through, they got to get somebody up last year? I don't remember that with him.
I think that on everybody every time.
So. Well, but especially this year, especially with him, I mean, if you look at each of his 3 starts, his last inning is his worst inning. Which is probably true of most starting pitchers, but it's blatant. Like he will be cruising and then just be done, which is for what it's worth, a really good example of, don't yell at the manager, but he was cruising. Yeah. Until he's not. and so Cameron, he's hit the wall pretty quickly in starts this season. He also weirdly has not had a normal day yet. I mean, his first game was that monsoon game. His second game was the 25-degree wind chill or whatever. And his third game was today. It was a 3-hour rain delay. So he's It'd be nice to have him pitch in normal weather at a normal start time at some point this season. But overall, yeah, if he's your 5, I think you're in pretty good shape, especially when the top 4 have been so good.
Yeah, they are. You look at this, kind of goes right along with the hitting in the sense that Maikel Walker's ERA 0.43, Chris Bubich 250, Seth Lugo 153, Noah Cameron 394. And by the way, would you bank that right now? Would you bank 394?
Yes,
You said
100%.
he's going to be a 394 ERA. Would you take it, or do you think he's going to hold that?
I'd bank 30 points higher, honestly. Like 4.25, I would bank 100%.
Okay.
As your 5th starter, that's great. I'm not great, but it's hard to complain about that.
Yeah. But then Cole Reagan's 591. My point to it being just like the hitting is the fact that he's going to be better than that. Yeah. Like Vinny Pasquantino is going to be better than this. So like when you look at the pitching and when he starts clicking, I don't worry about the fact that Maikel Walker's going to have some tough days, because I know Cole Reagan's is going to pitch better. So as Maikel Walker comes back to the pack, Cole Reagan should move forward, right? That's what we all expect to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that there would be some evening out for sure. And the one who I kind of look at and think, oh, what's going to happen here? Seth Lugo, who has been really good. The peripherals kind of don't support a 1.5, but they support him being really good too. I mean, a 255 FIP is more than enough. Like it's. By the way, that expected ERA, we talked about it last week. It's come down to 483 now with this most recent good start. So it's coming more into line too. I feel like there's going to be some ups and downs, but where guys have been down, they'll be up when the other guys are down. And yeah, the reason that the Royals are going to be in games is because while the offense tries to figure it out, if they ever figure it out, if they don't, whatever, they've got the starting pitching to keep them there. There was I said this morning on Twitter but I said I'd rather be where the Royals are right now with the offense struggling than where the Astros are right now with the pitching struggling, because the Astros, and I think they lost again today, they'd lost 6 in a row while scoring 34 runs, while the Royals had scored 11 runs and gone 3-3 in their last 6. It's you can tread water offensively. You got to figure it out eventually. So it's not like you can keep this up all season long. But if you can pitch, you can tread water while you're figuring it out. Whereas if you can't pitch, it's hard to tread water.
Yeah. So I think Cole Reagan's will be there. But they are losing depth. I mean, that is one of the problems. Yeah. Because you're not going for second opinions. Kudrna, I didn't have anything planned for Kudrna.
Yeah, whatever. But no offense, but whatever.
Yeah, it's too bad for the local kid. But for Bergert, I mean, that is the next man up. And so when Cole Reagan's does take one off the hand, you're like, okay, tell Cole, who's now going to get back going. So they're losing a couple, gaining one, but it is going to be incumbent. Like you're the average. We looked this up a few years ago. The average playoff team goes through 8 starting pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
Is
that 8 guys who get a start, or 8 who get like 5 starts?
They just on average would call upon 8 different guys to start. Like when we looked at it, that was the average of what most playoff teams needed. They needed 3 different guys to come in, and now it didn't mean that 3 of their frontline guys went down at some point. It may have been the same guy that was down, but they would turn to 3 different guys to go get it done. And we know the Royals didn't have to do that in 24. But so that is of note, right? As long as everybody's pitching well at the big leagues, and you're not going to get down to Bergert. But Bergert was tremendous for them last year, and is what kept them in the race late. And so now if you're losing that is the fear of what they have. How good, like we know Maikel Walker's not throwing a sub, not throwing a sub 1 ERA, but how
good, now who's the hater?
How good do you think he can be? How good do you think that ERA can be at the end of the year?
Well, I mean, I think you've got to look at what he's done the last few seasons, and he had those struggles. What was it? It was like 4 years where you thought, all right, well, this guy we saw in St. Louis is done. I guess it was 3 years. I'm looking at 2019, 2020, and 2021. 2020, of course, was whatever season. But here's what he's done the last 4 years. With Boston, 127 and a third innings, 3.32 ERA. With San Diego, 134 and a third innings, 3.22 ERA. With the Royals in 24, 166 and two-thirds innings, so a lot more innings, 3.35 ERA. Last year, 172 and two-thirds innings, 3.86 ERA. I think you're probably looking at top end, low threes. Bottom end, high threes. High threes, low fours, which if did he start the second game of the year? Was it Reagan's, then Waka, and then Lugo? I think it was.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if he's your again, like if Cameron's your fifth starter, which he is, you feel good about a high 3 ERA. If Waka is your fourth best starter in the end, which with Reagan's, Bubic, and Lugo, I think it's possible that's the case, and he's mid threes to high threes, you feel good about that too. It's great that he's done this while Cole Reagans has been the fifth best starter, and like to your point earlier. So I think you look at the history with Waka. I don't think you're going to see this guy turn in a 2.28 ERA or anything like that in his, how old is he? 34? Is that age 34 season? But I do think that he's shown that, my concern about his changeup, the changeup's been really good. That was the whole reason why I was concerned about him, because his changeup didn't look good last year. I saw him in one start in Arizona where his changeup didn't look good to me. And so I thought, okay, well, if that's his bread and butter, he's not going to be good. The changeup's been really good, so I'm not worried anymore so much about him. And I think that he'll probably regress. It's a bad thing to say, but regress from 0.4 ERA or whatever it is. But I think he'll probably settle in where he has been for the last 4 years.
Yeah, I think he is, like, when they signed him, I was like, ooh, $17 million. Like, that's a lot of money. He's living up to it.
Yeah, and that's what it costs too, unfortunately, which is the reality of.
Well, what was it? Shane Baz just signed 5 for 60, I think.
And that covers 2 arbitration years, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so that was $12 million for him. Which I actually thought was a pretty good move on their part. But Michael Walker at $17 million, I remember going, ooh, boy, that's quite a bit. He's living up to every single penny right now. I mean,
absolutely.
And I think the other thing that this should inspire folks, like we talk about some of the injuries, there's always going to be injuries with pitching. It's just an unnatural act. But they continue, like, what's the swing and miss that the front office has made on anybody? Like, since it's been JJ's show, where have they gone awry?
On the pitching side, you mean?
Really, anywhere.
Or anywhere?
Because I know what people are going to say. They're going to say Hunter Renfroe.
The second year of Renfroe, but also it wasn't that much money, honestly.
That's my point, is like, he really wasn't that actually did not go wrong. That's what you get when you pay that little. Here they've paid real money in $17 million for Michael Walker, and it has delivered. Every time they have, made a bold move, it has delivered. Seth Lugo has delivered. Right. And there was some fear, he signed the contract extension last year. And so everybody's like, and then he ends up getting hurt. Like, oh my God, well, he's getting $23 million. Well, he's pitching like $23 million. Like, they are getting bang.
Yeah. You might be able to say, well, jury's still out on Estevez on that second year, because obviously we don't know. I think did they say he rehab on a Wednesday game in Omaha? I think I heard that.
Yeah. But even if he doesn't come around, like, isn't that that's what you have to spend to get a closer?
Yeah.
You have to give the second year to get a closer. And he led the American League in saves. Like, if the only way that you make successful moves in baseball is if every year of the entire contract, you're 100% healthy and having the best years of your career, then no one's ever going to be considered a success as a general manager. Like, I'm talking about realistically, and you are right. Like, Carlos Estevez is one that we might end up questioning. But my point, even if he doesn't come back around this year, the fact that he had such a good year last year, to me, validates that. And like I said, you're going to have some bad years on contracts when you sign guys. I mean,
to your point about closers, Ryan Helsley, who was brutal with the Mets after they traded for him, 7.20 ERA, tipping pitches, all that. He got 1 year and $14 million, but with a player option for $14 million. So he basically got 2 and 28, unless he's really good, and then he got 1 and 14. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right. We want to get into the schedule, what to expect for what's coming up this week. We're getting into those City Connect uniforms as well. Also, just a little bit, we're not going to do a whole big stadium thing, but we're going to talk about what might be coming for the Kansas City Royals. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Italian Delight. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. If you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. All right, let's talk a little bit about the week ahead. They head out on the road, and it is not easy. It's to Detroit. They are 7-9, just like the Royals are, but they've got a plus run differential. I think it's plus 10. So overall, they look like they've just kind of had some bad luck, put the runs in the wrong places so far this year. Going out for 3 with them and then 3 at the Yankees. What are the expectations for what's going to happen this week?
Man, I think you got to hope for a 500 week. I mean, really, it's a tough trip. And remember last year they went on this trip and it was reversed. They were actually 8-8, I believe, and they went to Detroit, or maybe they might have been 7-8. I can't remember. They went to New York and Detroit and came back 8-14. and they lost 6 in a row. And then they went on that 16-2 run, and we're 24-16, like 3 weeks later, which was crazy. But yeah, this is a tough week for them. I haven't looked ahead to the probables on the Yankees series yet. They do miss Skubal, which is big. They do get Framber Valdez, which, that's what you get, a 2-headed monster. And that's part of the allure for the Tigers is they've got Skubal and Valdez. And they get Jack Flaherty and Kader Montero, who are hittable, but nobody's hittable for the Royals right now. So I don't know if they're hittable. But yeah, this is a tough series against the Tigers. And you're right, they are 7-9. They were 4-9, which they swept their series. I don't know if they swept. They won the last 3. I can't remember if they played on Thursday or not. I don't know if it was a 3 or 4 game series, but they won their last 3, and against Miami, who Miami was playing really well. Tigers seem to be kind of getting going over the last few days. So tough series. They did lose Parker Meadows. Did you see that collision the other day? That was brutal. They say he bit through his cheek. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know why I said that, but ugly. Yeah, it's a tough week for them, and they're not playing well right now. Which, sometimes
maybe that's exactly what they need. Like, I think a road trip, get away from everybody, just the fellas on the plane. Hopefully, out of Detroit. I don't know what are we looking at weather-wise.
I don't know. I'm gonna set up all year.
Because they went to Cleveland and it was it's so cold and everything. Like at some point though, everybody else is playing in bad weather too, right? But I do think the road may be what they need to get going.
It can. I remember this was. I don't remember how long ago this was, but I mean, Paul Splittorff was the commentator, and I remember him talking about how a lot of times he said that young teams play better on the road because they don't have the pressures of home. And I thought that was really interesting from him. I don't know how long ago that was. It would have been 20 years ago at this point. So yeah, I think you might be right. I'm looking at the weather right now. Warm 70s, although there are some storms on Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll see. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but they do a little bit less to get in division games because you're going to be back later in the year. So we might see a rain out, which, again, you miss Scooble for a series. Hopefully you don't get a rain out because you might get Scooble in the rain out game. But, you might be right. Maybe getting on the road is the best thing for them.
With the way they're hitting right now, if you could give me 3-3, I'd take it. I'd go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'd bet on 2-4 with the way they're playing. But and the Yankees actually have not paid attention. Have the Yankees gotten on track a little bit or no?
No, not really.
They lost ugly.
The Yankees have been terrible. They've lost 5 in a row.
They didn't get them on. Okay, so
I'd like, but I feel like, oh great, let's get healthy. We're going to go play the Yankees, but the Yankees still have a plus 21 run differential at 8-7 right now. And so, look, I do think it's better to get out on the road. I do think you can kind of, push some things off. I do wonder, how much do you think, not to come all the way back around to the hitting, but how much do you think guys are trying to load up for the fences? Like, do you think the fences are now in their head the other way around? Like, they move the fences in, so I got to be hitting home runs now.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, obviously. There are a lot of pop-ups. And at least it feels like, I'm looking right now. Yeah, infield fly ball percentage. Royals are at 15.8%. Here, let me do live stats full season to get today, too. Royals actually are 15%. They have the 5th highest pop-up rate in baseball. One thing, a couple things, I actually do want to get back to the hitting because I forgot a couple things I wanted to mention fast. One, I brought something up to a scout buddy of mine Friday, I don't know, one of the last couple of days. And I said, hey, what do you think? Remember the Blue Jays struggled last year? They had a new hitting coach. They were kind of a different approach. Remember how bad they were early in the year? And he kind of paused, and then he went, yeah, that could be the Royals. I thought, okay, interesting. Now, I don't know what it means, but the Blue Jays were terrible last year to start the season. Yeah. And they were kind of trying to figure out this new approach, and then they were one of the best offenses in baseball. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, we'll see. The other thing, I mentioned this to you. I said, I don't want to forget to say it, and then I forgot to say it. Right now, the Royals are 3rd in chase rate, 7th in hard hit rate, and 4th in barrel rate among offenses this year. Those, I think, are 3 pretty important stats offensively. Mm-hmm. I went back and looked. 8 teams have finished top 7 in all 3 in the last 4 years. It's been last year, it was the Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers. Yankees, Dodgers, and Mariners 2 years ago. Rangers in 23 and Dodgers in 22. 6 of those 8 teams finished top 3 in runs scored. Which, is that enough for a correlation? I don't know. But I do think it's interesting that those 3 stats, which are the 3 stats that I look at the closest when I just glance, they're top 7 in. So I'm glad you came back to the offense because I wanted to throw that out there. But the downside is the other team, the Mets last year were 10th in runs scored. We'd take that. The Mariners in 24 were 21st. So that's where the outlier is, where I could see the Royals being. If they don't. But anyway.
I think those are all numbers that, like, it's one of the reasons why, like, maybe we should be bullish on them headed out on the road, because really they're doing a lot of things right. It's just not, a lot of the things you would try to do, it's just not turning into winning.
Yep.
Right. That's the frustrating part.
Again, gets back to I think the lineup construction, which is it's hard to blame Mac Quatrero for putting Vinny and Salvy 3 and 4, given their track record, but that's hurting them quite a bit right now. And to your question, I do think the fences, if I had to guess, I'd say yes. I don't know for certain, obviously, but and it's funny too, because we talked about it when they announced it a few weeks or a couple months ago, whenever it was. The change isn't that drastic. I mean, there's only been, I believe, 2 home runs that would not have been home runs last season. I think Massey almost hit one today. I watched that video. I can't say that was a robbed home run. It was a great catch. Mm-hmm. Don't get me. Maybe it rolls over the wall. If it did, it would have been another one. But it hasn't. Again, only 2 home runs would not have. One for the Royals, one for the opponents. And I believe one for the opponents is still a little bit iffy. So it hasn't been that big of a change.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do when they get out there. Yankee Stadium might be good for Vinny to get him going when they're out on the road. But I do think that they're, like again, it's. Can you be concerned? Yes, I think you can be concerned. Should you panic? Should you be, blowing things up? This mix doesn't work. No, absolutely not. Like, and I think at some point it's going to start to turn in their direction. They're just getting too much good starting pitching. There's too many guys that have hit that I think are going to hit. The only thing I will say is the bullpen may need some help because I don't want to see them start going too long with the starting pitchers because they don't trust the bullpen. So if I had a reason to be concerned, like if you said, okay, they're going to scuttle like this all year and they're going to come home with 75 wins, why will it be? Well, they'll hit better, but they won't pitch quite as good with the starting pitching that's been going on. And then the bullpen's never going to come around. That's how they would get there at like 75 wins, being just a little bit below 500. That's what would happen, I think. But I still just feel like there's so many things that they're doing right that it's just a bad stretch, bad luck right now. If they went 7-9, over 16 games between 80 and 96 games, we wouldn't even notice it. Right.
I'm with you completely. The one thing that I will say, we kind of had this conversation last year and it did eventually turn. Obviously, last 3 months of the year, they were legitimately a top 10 offense in most categories, including home runs. But it took until July 1st.
Yeah.
It cannot take 3 months this year. They've got to, and it doesn't have to be this week. It'd be great if it was, right. But it's got to happen before they get to May. Even it can't take half the season before they turn it around.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly on that. They have to. It has to come around before that. All right, let's talk about the City Connect uniforms. You've got at least one fan in your house. Is that correct?
Yeah, my daughter loves them. She's 3 for what it's worth. So
listen,
the target market.
Which is look, I said this when they came out with the first City Connects. At first I didn't like them. And then they grew on me and now I love them. Like I thought they were great. But I will tell you, I thought they were great because they stayed within their color scheme. Mm-hmm. And I have not liked the UCLA Bruin uniforms, the Red Sox roll out, or the I don't know, Miami cruise ship thing the Padres rolled out with just infinite color out there. I know I'm old, but I will say this. Maybe they will grow on me. I doubt it because it's not within the color scheme. But if the plan was to get more kids, if the plan was to get more women to be fans of the ball club, fine. I mean, I'll live with it. I will say at least they at least haven't. It still at least looks like a baseball uniform. It's just the color is not a royal color. That's my only frustration.
Yeah, I don't mind the jerseys actually. Not my favorite things I've ever seen, but I don't mind them. I hate the hats. Hate that. And I'll tell you why I hate the hats. A lot of people hate the logo on the hat. To me, that's whatever. What I don't like gradients on hats. They look bad on the Jaguars uniforms. They look bad. The Diamondbacks, remember they had that for like a year. They did that stupid gradient, the snake bite thing or snake skin thing on their uniforms. That was brutal. I don't like gradients. And so the funny thing is they have this blue hat. I showed it to you before we started. It's got a KC with like the 3 line. It looks like the Blue Jays lines, all that stuff. I love that hat. If that was the hat, I think a lot more people would love the uniforms. If the hat was blue with the crown, I think people would like it more. The funny thing is I showed my daughter that. The reason I found out that she loves the uniforms, I showed her the hat. I said, hey, I think I'm going to get this. And she said, no, that's ugly. I like the hats they're wearing. Not quite as clear because she's 3. And then she said, let's get matching hats. And I was like, well, I guess I'm getting a new City Connect hat. Because
so you're getting the
how do you say no to? I haven't yet, but yeah. Well, we were actually going to today, but she got in trouble. So we had to take that privilege away from her. So we'll go tomorrow probably. But okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to get it because how do you say no to a cute 3-year-old?
And I think that's, listen, if that's the plan, great. But I do like the comment where somebody said they look like a bowling team.
Yeah.
With the pink.
I hadn't thought that before, but yeah.
Yeah. Here, Sarah's pink jackets in the dugouts make them look like a bowling team. I mean, I agree. I was like, ooh. Hey, Cobman, already ordered my pink one.
Yeah.
And a sweatshirt.
I just don't like the hat. I don't have a problem with anything else. None of that's my favorite, but I just don't like the hat. And of course that's the thing that I'm buying first, apparently. So
yeah. All right. We had Mayor Lucas introduce $600 million worth of Kansas City, Missouri funding for Washington Square Park. The Royals later that day put out a tweet saying, "Hey, we appreciate the effort," right? But didn't say like, "Let's do it."
Thanks, buddy.
So there is still work to be done, but I think this is the only one that I hear being talked about right now.
Mm-hmm.
This spot? It's specifically for Washington Square Park. Do you like that? That's where it will, and I believe that Crown Center is part of the purchase. Whether they're going to keep Crown Center or they're going to tear it down and is part of their ballpark district, I'm not sure what all's going on, but I'm hearing that Crown Center is going to be a part of the equation as well. Do you like the idea of them going to that location?
I do. I think it makes sense. It's on the streetcar line. You've got great sight lines. I mean, the Western Auto sign, I think, can become, if they pay the bill to light it up, can become kind of an iconic ballpark feature. I think that you see elsewhere, and it's not the bridge in Pittsburgh, but I think that could be really cool over right center field. I guess it would be. There was one rendering I saw that just plopped Kauffman Stadium in. That downtown looked a lot closer than it will be. The skyline. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, but you'll still be able to see it over the left field wall. I think it's a really cool spot. I think that everybody's gonna have a complaint about somewhere, but I think this spot alleviates so many of those complaints. I like it a lot. I'm curious to see how much. We know what the city will chip in. I'm curious to find out what the county and the state will chip in now, if anything, because 1.9 billion and the city's at 600 million. I think the Royals probably would like another 400 million ish. Well, I think they'd like 1.3 billion, but I think they'd like at least another 300, 400, 500 million. My gut is that they get it.
They're going to get the 50% of the stadium cost from the state.
That's right. Yeah. So and
they're going to get so they're looking at over first of all, no project ever comes in on time on budget. So they're right. The mayor mentioned 1.9 billion. My assumption is that we're going to be well over 2. Even when they start, they're going to be talking about that. Then there'll be overruns beyond it. But the one thing about what this is 600 million period. Like, it's not like, well, we're on all kinds of overruns. The Royals will be on the hook for the overruns. Now, the state money is a little different in the sense that it's 50% of a ball.
So whatever it costs, that ends up being 50. Yeah. Yeah. What I think is interesting, they mentioned opening day 2030. And I looked, and I could only find for sure Truist Park took 37 months in Atlanta. And so if it takes 37 months, they've got to break ground like 10 months from now.
The mayor said they wanted to break ground in first quarter of 27, and if they would break ground on January 1 of 27, they would have 39 months to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Which I haven't found a stadium that took longer than that. To be fair, so
really? Okay.
It's some of the data is hard to find, but the longest I've found is Truist Park at 37. And I don't know how much of that was they had to build the whole battery.
I had people tell me that was the fastest.
Was it? Maybe I misread it. I don't know.
I
thought I saw 31 to 37 months, but again, it was hard to find all that data. I also didn't look that hard, to be fair. So, if I'm being honest, but I mean, I don't know. That seems like a pretty aggressive timeline, but I like the spot. And I mean, we go back to your bold predictions. You said that they're going to announce it as the spot, and that people are going to like it. Which,
because I'll tell you where that came from. That was one of my bold and daring predictions, and that came from I've talked to people in the know, and they say one of the things that was said to me is if it goes to Washington Square Park, there are going to be some really cool features. So, like, somebody's seen some of the things that they're talking about for that. Yeah. For that area. Now, that might end up being wrong. The thing I love about putting it there is if they do win a World Series, the parade ends up coming right, you're right there by the ballpark.
Yes.
And I also like the symmetry of Union Station being close, and that's an iconic building. World War I Memorial is an iconic building in Kansas City, and having all of that there, to me, it gives an opportunity for kind of from that. There's always been kind of this separation from the Crown Center area to inside the loop, and this to me might now get that growth to go all the way in between. I think the Kauffman Center was an important piece to getting downtown to expand beyond just that inner loop. The Crossroads have really grown up in there. This will supplement that. I think that those areas will be vibrant, and those businesses will do well. All the Mexican restaurants on the boulevard are right by. I do like where if it goes there, what it will do for Kansas City. I think that will be a good one for Kansas City, Missouri, and I think it'll do really well. But I love the idea of a parade finishing, and there's the ballpark and the parade coming down there. I think
where do the Dodgers finish their parades? Inside Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And that could be how it would now finish. Although the Union Station and the Hill, like when you as many people as they get out there, I don't think they'll finish in the stadium because we get thousands of people that are out there. But yeah, I think it'll be really cool. Well, let's hope for a 3-3 road trip, and then we'll be talking, and hopefully we're talking about the Bats doing a little bit better when we get around to it next Sunday. Listen, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors like Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's best. For more than 30 years solving parking lot problems, you can get on the schedule right now. Go to GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Whether it's parking lots, curbs, they handle it all. Asphalt and concrete with a company you can trust for more than 30 years. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Our friends at Northland Injury Law. If you've been hurt in an accident, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT, HURT, to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. Voted KC's #1 accident lawyers. Green Light Dispensary, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Green Light is your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you heard about it right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast, and Italian Delight with lunch special starting at under $10. They're just a few miles east of the Speedway on State Avenue. You can check them out online at ItalianDelightKS.com or go see them in person, 8145 State Ave. You can order online if you'd like. Kansas City's own Italian Delight, the first to bring true New York style pizza to Kansas City over 50 years ago. Our buddy Renee is usually in the chat room as well. He's one of the viewers, one of the listeners to the Kaufman Corner podcast as well. For David Lesky, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on Kaufman Corner.